Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be asking the question, is this the end of tech, and is it the end of the learn to code movement? Or at least, is that brewing? Alright, welcome back. So let's take a look at the stock price here. So, today's everything sold off quite a bit. The VIX is up a lot today. And if you don't know, the VIX is volatility. But as you can see, everything is kind of down. The NASDAQ, everything is roughly down. And the thing is though, is like UDMY came down a bit and then it's up here. And if we take a look at the chart here, we have 54% down from the peak. We also have 50% down from the IPO price, and then a good 49% down from the price here. So things are going down, but again, it's because, well, it could be the end of coding I don't want to say the exact end, but like there could be a huge shakeup when it comes to tech. It could be a huge shakeup in terms of learn to code, and there could be a huge shakeup when it comes to any kind of like growth related tech stock. And why do I say that? Well, here's the thing. For the last 10 years, there's been a lot of money printing, and a lot of that money printing goes into tech because, believe it or not, technology does outpace the money printer. If you put money into Apple or something like Microsoft, you actually did quite well in the last 10 years. And those companies aren't going anywhere. The problem is that there's a lot of tech startups that require coders, and hence the learn to code movement was basically a huge thing starting around 2010. 2008, 2009, it was a recession. There wasn't much investment. But as soon as 2010 hit, things seemed to kind of pick up. And I picked up on this because I started to do a whole bunch of things. And then by the end of 2011, I had basically made an e-learning company because everyone wanted to learn to code then. And there's been a lot of companies that have since come and gone. The most notable one that I would probably say that started around that time was Team Treehouse. There was the one that I went to was 3D Buzz, which is defunct. It's mostly because the founder died, but that's a story for a different time. But nevertheless, the thing is that will demand for programmers learn to code go down? And this is a huge problem for Udemy, and arguably myself too, because I make coding courses. But will it be a huge problem? Because if most of the money comes from that kind of stuff, right? Coding, technical certs, and there's less demand for that, then there's probably going to be less people buying. Now, I don't think this is necessarily the case, because even at big companies, at the FANG companies, they would still need coders and they still need people. And occasionally I get headhunted to these companies as well. And, if they're asking me to do it, then there's definitely demand to do it. And, I do have quite a bit of experience, and I'd like to, if things weren't going well, then I might take that job, but I definitely don't want to do that. So as you can see, the thing is that will that demand go down? Well, it's possible that a lot of these growth startups will hire less programmers. Now, if you look at the org chart for a lot of these companies, there's a lot of extraneous personnel, right? In the marketing department, there's just a bunch of I don't want to say BS corporate positions, but there's definitely some fat that can be trimmed with a lot of these tech startups, and Udemy is no example. Is a good example of that. And the reason is that if you have any kind of technology, you do need to hire like a team of programmers, not just a programmer, but like a team, especially of something of this size. Things need to be working, even if you're not updating things, because Udemy hasn't really updated their style in the last few years. So what a lot of these tech companies need is they definitely need programmers. And if it's in a place where things become more competitive, then programming is going to be one of the areas that people put money into. Now, what will happen? Well, it's possible that there could be a dampened effect on coding. However, it still will be higher than it is normally. And the reason why I say that is that our world is way too technology oriented, and we absolutely need it. The pandemic has made technology more ubiquitous than ever, and people will still need to use it. Like, even if you work for, let's say, a bank, a lot of bank services have now gone online. Now, will the banks revert back to in-person? I certainly hope not. I really don't hope that that's going to happen. I really hope that doesn't happen. But you know, it's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility that we all have to kind of be bracing for. But one of the things I like to remind people is that programming before 2008 wasn't really as luxurious as a job. Like, of course there were programmers and of course you made a lot of money, but it was a lot of work and it wasn't as good as it used to be. Now, again, time moves on, and I don't think the learn to code movement is ever going to go away. At least for the next 10 years, 20 years, it's probably going to go on for a long, long time, because there is so much work that needs to be done with technology. It's always improving. And if things are exponential, like Raoul Paul says from Real Vision, then there's going to be I wouldn't say an exponential amount of programmers, but there's going to be a lot of programmers that need to service that demand. And of course, if you really want to make a lot of money, what you can do is you can always learn to code and then put all of your money into cryptocurrency. Right? Well, not all of your money, but like a sizable portion of your money into cryptocurrency, Web3, all of these new tokens that are coming out. And you can do your due diligence as to which ones are the best here. I have a whole video about that on how to invest in cryptocurrency. But that's something I would do. You know, again, I learned to code in the late 2000s, again, because I kind of already, you know, I've been doing it for a while here. But I relearned to code. And, you know, that's, if anyone wants to sit in front of a computer screen and make some money, I would always suggest that that's going to happen. So, in conclusion, what will happen to growth stocks? Well, it's possible that like the stock and profits go down, but whether or not they're going to hire less programmers, that's fairly unlikely. And what that means is that a lot of other courses that are not programming oriented won't probably make as much money, because everyone's going to not to say everyone, but like a lot of people who want good careers are going to need to learn to code. So that's not going away at all, right? So as you can see, before I end this video here, this did dip down to about 1372, okay? And you can see that every single time this happens, it kind of bounces off here. And we'll see what happens for the rest of the day here. So it looks like, 1350 might be support here. Well, looks like, yeah, so somewhere actually in here. So maybe around $14, $13.90, $13.80, somewhere in there is support here. And you can expect profits to not be as good. Now, the other thing that I should mention is that will corporations want to spend money on e-learning? It's kind of an unknown here, because consumers definitely spend money on education during a recession, but will companies? Possibly. It's kind of unknown, but I will do more work on that, and I will see. I'll give a more report here. My first guess is that it's probably they will spend some time, but probably not on things like, you know, yoga classes. You know, you come to work to work because it's super competitive, and every dollar that we get in is going to be very special. And that's the way you should treat your finances going forward here. Personally, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to not spend as much money, trying to keep as much money as possible, because if they do raise rates and things go down, that's not going to be good. Now, of course, there's other things you can do. Like, you can invest in, for example, you can, if I do this here, you can look at this, and this is up quite a bit today. So, you know, you can do this as a short-term trade to get some extra money. But generally, I don't think people remember the 2008 recession. It was pretty bad. It was being a person who graduated during the 2008 recession, it was pretty bad. So this could be the same. It could be a little bit worse. Who knows? Personally, what I think is going to happen is the Fed is going to tighten. I think the interest rates are going to go up. Since there's way too much debt in the system, it's going to collapse a little bit harder than it did in 2018. And then it's right back to money printing and government stimulus. That's just my personal opinion. So there might be a few months, no more than 6 months of let's say, pain, I guess. And then after that, I think it's just going to fall apart. Well, they might drag it on for a little while, but eventually it will not be good. And the pandemic might be coming to a close, or at least be a lot less severe than it used to be, coming up soon. Because with all the infections going around, I think a lot of people are going to, I think a lot of people that are getting vaccinated, etc., they're just going to have all the antibodies, and then they're going to be able to return back to a very similar life that they had in 2019. And I think everybody's realizing that fairly soon. So that's also not as bullish for e-learning, but nevertheless, I am bullish very long term. You say 10 years into the future, will e-learning be around? Absolutely. It will be more than what it is today. And the reason why I say that is that e-learning is a very low-tech field, and everybody needs to learn. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you need to learn something, and e-learning is the best way to do it now. As well as going to school. Like you can't just hop onto Udemy and expect a career. There's other things you have to do, and I talk about that a lot. All right? So that concludes this video. I want to know your thoughts down below. Are you scared about the economic storm in the future? Let me know. One last thing before we go, please pledge for our Kickstarter. If you like coding courses and you like online learning, this is the best Kickstarter to get into. Check it out. We have a bundle of courses which have bundles within bundles. We have, if you pledge for this today, you can have web development, app development, machine learning and Python, blockchain, game development, and interview prep. And the more you pledge, the more courses you get. So please pledge for us today. If you can help us get to 150,000, that would absolutely make my day. So please pledge for this. If you're a fan of this channel, it really does help me out. The more you pledge, the better. Also, we do have institutional licensing here. So if you want to donate this to a school or something, we do have these institutional licensing. It really does help us out when you do that. We have some amazing courses for school. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.